Hello and welcome to the Radical Podcast, inspired by the essence of the word radical, proceeding from the root. We explore the roots of metaphysical wisdom.
This season is all about divination, tarot, and the power held within our intuition. This is The Radical with Nicole and Christina, the two metaphysical girls in the material world.
Hello, welcome to the Radical Podcast. This is Christina.
And I'm Nicole.
Today we're talking about the planet Mercury. We are deep in Gemini season, and Mercury is the ruling planet of Gemini and Virgo, which is an interesting thing. I think we'll talk about a little bit more, that Mercury and Venus both have two zodiac signs.
Mm-hmm. And are they both air and earth?
They are. Isn't that fascinating? I mean, and Jupiter and Saturn did too, before the discovery of the outer planets. Like Mars used to be Scorpio and Aries. But anyway, I had so much fun putting together this podcast. Mercury is my chart ruler. Is that right, Nicole? Am I saying that correct? Your yes. Whatever is your ascent is your chart ruler. Yeah. I have my own affinity for Mercury and the energies of Mercury, and I can see a lot of Mercury influence in my personality and my life, and especially my birth chart. And then my connection to certain cards is becoming more clear now that I understand the influences of the planets and the elements. And that's what we're talking about next week.
Tarot meets our birth charts.
Okay, I'm going to run down the list. Nicole's going to talk about the tarot cards for Mercury, and then I've got 3 cards for the message from the universe, or messages from the universe. And before we hit record, I said to Nicole, I don't think that these cards are for us today because I don't really, connect with them and I don't have an understanding. And then she and I were chatting briefly about a new logo, and suddenly the messages from these 3 cards became very clear, and I had a whole wonderful tarot light bulb moment, which is always so magical and so fun. And I hope that these 3 cards also have messages for everyone out there listening today. Should I just jump right in?
Yes.
Should we be swift like Mercury?
Ooh, yes. Quick and swift.
I'm going to start with the history and the physical properties of Mercury. I love talking about the classical planets because there's so much history and culture and symbology, and Mercury was observable and recognized throughout history. It's called a planet because it was called a wandering star. There's records in cuneiform or cuneiform that designated Mercury with the name Mulapin, which is the jumping planet. And Babylonian records of Mercury all the way back to the first millennium BC. And the Babylonians called Mercury the planet Nabu after the messenger to the gods in their mythology. The theming was already there, and Mercury is a very fast planet rotating around the sun. In ancient China, Mercury was known as the hour star. It was associated with the north and the phase of water in the 5 phases system of metaphysics in Chinese. Now, in modern Chinese, Korean, Japanese, and Vietnamese cultures refer to Mercury as the water star. Still, that's what the name of it means in those languages. In Hindu mythology, the name of Mercury is Buddha, Budha. And this is the god that is thought to preside over Wednesday. And then in the god Odin and the Germanic paganism was associated with Mercury and Wednesday. And then in another culture, the Mayan has Mercury possibly as an owl, but maybe two owls. But they also saw that Mercury might have been two different planets, the morning star and the evening star. And it served as messengers to the underworld. It might have been up to 4 owls for the planet Mercury in the Mayan culture. In English, it's named after the Roman god Mercury, Mercurius, the god of commerce and communication and the messenger of the gods. And then I just made a note about it being called the morning star or the evening stars. Historically, humans knew Mercury by different names depending on whether that specific culture understood that Mercury was one object or two objects. And I think I have here in my note, by about 350 BC, the Greeks were one of the first cultures that we have recordings of that realized that it was one planet, that it was one star. And it's because Mercury is so close to the sun. It has the most inferior or the smallest orbiting planet, and it always appears so close to the sun, and that's why it was thought to be two. Moving into more modern understanding of Mercury, we have our first successful flyby of Mercury was Mariner 10 in 1974. It's hard to get to Mercury. We visited Venus and we had flybys of Venus and Mars before 1974. Because of Mercury's speed and location, it was more of a challenge to get close to that planet. So Mariner 10 in 1974, and then explored by Messenger and BP Colombo orbiters. But there's so much wonderful, very detailed, specific information on the nature, orbit, magnetic field, surface, chemical compound, all of that. The article on Wikipedia on Mercury is thorough and very fascinating. I'm only covering the highlights here for this, but we have a lot of really good information on Mercury now. And we know that it is the first planet in the solar system, so that, and it's like Earth and Venus and Mars. It's a terrestrial or rocky planet. And it's very similar to our moon. It even looks like our moon. It's similar in size and similar in like appearance. But Mercury has no moon, it has no rings, it has very little atmosphere, and it has a light gray color. Like I said, it looks a little bit like our moon, and it does have some other different color shadings. It has 88 Earth day orbit around the sun. It is the fastest orbit. And I mentioned this in our Personalities of the Planets podcast. These are the notes I pulled out of that podcast. I remember reading about the creation of our solar system and just about the nature of the planets and where they are today and where they may have like actually originated from. And because Mercury has a lot of volatile material, it's thought that Mercury was forming as a planet somewhere else in the solar system, then had a collision with another large object that stripped off most of its crust and mantle material and pushed Mercury close to the sun. And as it moved closer to the sun, it stripped off its atmosphere and essentially left it a small metal ball just whipping its way around the sun, just flying around the sun. And when we were doing that podcast, I was talking about how Jupiter was like this wrecking ball coming into our solar system and how it shifted planets and moved things around. So it's just really interesting to think about the life that these planets had before they settled into where they are right now. Mercury has a higher iron content than any other planet in the solar system. It's essentially the molten metal core of what a larger planet would have consisted of if it hadn't had the history it did. But due to a very slight axial tilt, Mercury's poles are permanently shadowed. And they think there could be water on, or water ice, not water, ice on the craters in the poles because there's no sun, because it's freaking hot. It is so close to the sun. The only way that there could be ice is deep in a crater that gets no sunshine. Okay, and here's the sad news. Mercury is expected to be destroyed along with Venus and possibly Earth and our moon when the sun becomes a red giant in approximately 7 to 8 billion years from now. We will be all consumed by our beautiful sun at some point. But I read this and it was like Mercury along with Venus, and then it says possibly Earth. What do you mean possibly Earth? Venus and Earth are right next to each other. You think the sun is just going to stop at some point and somehow Earth is still going to be okay that close to the sun?
I like how Mars didn't make the list.
Apparently, I mean, it's all math and how the sun would expand, but there is also an element of like natural, possibility. But maybe Earth would turn into a Mercury, like everything would be stripped away, and then it would just be what would be left would be Earth's molten core just spinning around. Okay. Correspondences. The element for Mercury as a planet is air in our Western system. Like I said, in the ancient Chinese system of their 5 elements, it's water. But in our tradition, it's air. The zodiac signs ruled by Mercury are Gemini, which is a mutable yang, air energy, and Virgo, which is a mutable yin, earth energy. But Mercury rules them both. The houses, third house, the house of sharing. The mantra could be I think. And the third house can be how you relate to your immediate world, your siblings, neighbors. This is early schooling, communication. And the fifth house, the house of health, with the mantra I analyze. And this could be, among so many other interpretations of this house, could represent service to others, subordinates, and pets in like a daily routine sort of a daily routine
context.
Nicole can
I
always
think
read
it's
my
the
mind.
6th house, though.
What am I saying?
The fifth house is Leo's house.
I am. You can tell I'm getting airish. I keep messing up the house numbers.
Well, it's a good thing we're doing all the houses next
I
season
know.
as part of season 3.
Mm-hmm. They'll get cemented in there.
I only really know this because the 6th house haunts me.
Daily routine, diet, health, coworkers, and I read at least 3 times today about pets and small animals is the 6th house. In the tree of life, Mercury rules the 8th sphere of Hod. And this is the sphere of splendor, thanksgiving, intellect, the majesty of the mind. The name Hod relates to, I said it like 3 times and now I'm going to mess it up. Hoda, which means both giving thanks and admitting or yielding to a higher truth. From the Kabbalistic point of view, again, this is the tree of life. Hod is where abstract ideas, instincts, and raw emotions are translated into logical, articulate language. It's where things get classified, things get named, things get organized. It can be seen as a space of rituals, magic, science, where the mind breaks down vast, overwhelming energies into distinct, usable symbols and shapes, like language, words, classification. And in tarot, Hod is the eighth, as the eighth sphere, rules all the eights, the 4 8s in the tarot deck. So the 8 of Wands, the 8 of Clubs, the 8 of Swords. When I say clubs and wands, the 8 of Hearts, the 8 of Diamonds, clubs and spades. Wands, cups, pentacles, and swords. Did I get it? The chakra, the first that always comes to mind with Mercury is the throat chakra, the Vishuddha. And that could be a very good, that might make sense to you listeners as you're working with the energy of Mercury and you're working with energies of your chakras. But also, I do a lot of Kundalini yoga and I do a lot of breath of fire, which makes me think a lot about our solar plexus as our will and our engine and our place where we it can be seen as a place of intellect and mental power and processing information. Some traditions see that in the solar plexus. So I can see that. I can also see some other chakras tied to it, especially if you're thinking about organizing information. For me, that's always the third eye or the crown chakra. But those are the two that stood out to me and that I kind of read about a lot about today with the Mercury chakra associations. The color could literally be the color of the planet. I like this like metallic gray or silver. So not only is the planet this gray color, so is the metal Mercury. It's like that silvery, like silver paint, right? That's essentially what Mercury was used as, it was used for a long time. So you could be seeing a lot of metallic images with Mercury, but then the energy of Mercury is or can be seen as like yellow and orange, which is very stimulating for the mind and for the intellect. That's what came out to me. And I just realized I didn't put any crystals down for. I skipped it. Because as I was talking about the metals, I was thinking about hematite and citrine for Mercury, which might make sense to you listeners. That kind of just, I think I read that earlier today and it makes sense to me. I always think of yellow when I think of Mercury, as far as like, besides the silvery metallic color. That's sort of like the mentally stimulating color for me.
I think you could make a case for like blue.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just blue stones in general because of the throat chakra and communication.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and yellow is the solar plexus. And that's also what I'm thinking of as I'm sitting here recording with you today. If we were doing this next year, we might have very different kind of thoughts about this planet because we'll be in a different place. The body parts associated with Mercury are the thyroid gland, closely associated with the throat, the brain, and the whole spinal nervous system. It can be seen with the sense of sight, and the organs of speech, and the tongue, and the hands as the instruments of intelligence. I added in here the lungs. Now I'm thinking about the heart chakra for Mercury, because the heart and the lungs and the arms are all connected to the heart chakra. And the hands can be an instrument of our intellectual expression. But everything bleeds into one another. As I used to say when I taught yoga, the body is like a rainbow. You can see all the colors, but you can't put your finger exactly where yellow turns into orange. It just blends. Just like, I know I have a knee and I know I have an ankle, but where does my knee end and my ankle begin? It all kind of is connected. And that's kind of how the energies are with this, is things kind of bleed over into the other. Again, talking about my Kundalini training and our yoga traditions, the finger for Mercury is the pinky finger. And the Buddha mudra, which is a hand position, is the little finger and the thumb touching each other. And this is called the Buddhi mudra. This is to enhance communication, speech, and mental clarity. And you may see my ring finger doesn't want to separate from my pinky finger. So when I do it, it looks like this. See, okay, so yours is a little more clear than mine. But you may see some statues or some paintings in different yogic traditions with characters in this mudra, and that's what that is. The pinky is Mercury. The metal is Mercury. Quicksilver, it represents transformation and the mind in alchemy. And symbols for Mercury, amongst all the other symbols and colors and chakras and everything we're talking about, the quickness and the speed of the planet's movement gives it the image of it being the messenger, the messages, and also this element of quickness. Cultures on this planet have used birds, wings, and those types of messenger, so wise birds as symbols of this planet. And you can see that when you think about the nature of the planet's movements in the sky. But more than once, it was the messenger between worlds and like speech and commerce. Maybe that's because that's the air and the quickness of it too. And also the messenger, because you're bringing a message. You can kind of see where the themes of this planet kind of came up through history and observation of the actual planet in the sky. That's my list. Quick. Did it feel quick? I felt like I got a little sidetracked a few times.
That is okay. So like Christina said, Mercury's orbit is 88 days. It is the planet to travel through all the zodiac signs the quickest. When Mercury is moving forward from the perspective of Earth, it will move through a zodiac sign in about 3 weeks. However, when Mercury is retrograde, it can stay in a zodiac sign for up to 10 weeks or 60 days.
Now it makes sense why it says that that's how they know that if you were born when Mercury is retrograde. Because I don't know why I found that so difficult to understand until you just said that right then. Because it's still in the sign. Don't you have a lot of retrograde?
I do. I do. Almost all the outer planets are retrograde.
Really?
Mercury retrograde occurs...
We have to do a podcast on that. What exactly does that mean?
Mercury retrograde occurs about 3 or 4 times a year. So decently often. Mm-hmm. Mercury retrograde, I feel like, gets a lot of attention on social media. It also is often like a scapegoat. People like to blame things on Mercury retrograde. And I'm not here to stop you if if you want to blame things on Mercury. But I like this sense of retrogrades a little bit better. It's a time to revise, reinvent, or renew. I heard another astrologer say like that prefix RE, revisit, re-edit, review. It's a time to do things with that prefix of RE. So I don't think it's like necessarily as like scary and disruptive as the social media world often portrays Mercury retrograde to be, but it is often associated with glitches,
Mm-hmm.
specifically with like travel, electronics, communication, missed or canceled flights, misunderstandings,
Mm-hmm.
miscommunications, emails getting lost. One of my guidebooks says the corresponding tarot card for Mercury retrograde specifically is the Two of Swords, for the idea of maybe a difficulty reaching a decision. You'll sometimes hear that Mercury retrograde is like not a time to like buy a car or sign a contract. So you're kind of at like an impasse during Mercury retrograde.
I would say it's not a time to sign a contract without reading it. Because you know what I'm saying? Like maybe you could still sign a contract, but you need to reread it. Right? That's it. You
Mm,
need to take your time and read the whole thing. Do you ever have a unsettling dream where you can't get your cell phone to work?
mm.
Oh my gosh, I have it occasionally where I'm really trying to do something and everything that I'm trying to do on my cell phone doesn't work. Like it doesn't do what I want it to do. I can't find the phone number. It won't call out or anything like that. That I had a reoccurring, I won't call it a nightmare, but an unsettling dream
Would fit
about
under
my
the Mercury
mhm,
retrograde category.
about my communication devices not working. And it's my cell phone now, but it could be a phone. It could be like back it could be like the phone isn't working or I don't remember the number. I can't dial the number. That is a reoccurring an unsettling dream that I have. Not being able to
Yeah.
communicate with the communication devices.
Like Christina said, Mercury is the Roman god, and Hermes is often considered the Greek counterpart to Mercury. A swift messenger god, Mercury and Hermes were associated with commerce, travel, communication, luck, boundaries, trickery, and guiding souls to the underworld. These gods are often depicted with winged sandals for swiftness, a winged cap, and a caduceus. Mercury and Hermes, known for cleverness, eloquence, and having a role as a protector of merchants, thieves, and travelers. They embody speed and intellect. From my Black Moon astrology book, she says Mercury is the counterpart of Hermes, the Greek Olympian god, the sly trickster, who is not only big on pranks, but also false moves. He is the god of transitions, roads, and boundaries. The very name Hermes has to do with speech and implies he is a translator. Mercury as Hermes conveys information. And then a little bit later, she adds in ancient Greece, Hermes was the son of Apollo, the sun god. This makes sense, Mercury being the closest planet to the sun. That's kind of sweet.
Yeah.
The planetary symbol kind of looks like the Venus symbol. We have the circle with the cross underneath, that hand mirror.
Mhm.
But on top of the circle, there's like, I guess, like a semicircle opening upward. The symbol for Mercury is a caduceus, a staff intertwined with two serpents, a symbol associated with Mercury and Hermes throughout antiquity. Sometime after the 11th century, a cross was added to the bottom of the staff to Christianize the symbol.
When I look at the symbol for Venus, all I see is a hand mirror, right? But when I look at the symbol for Mercury, I see a little person. I see a stick figure wearing a hat.
That's cute.
But I don't, but I, when I think of Venus, I don't see it as a stick figure like at all, like at all. Only when I'm
Yeah.
looking at it for Mercury, because I see at some point I read about the semicircle being representing the points of the hat that was part of the outfit for the god, for the Greek and Roman god, and now all I see is it's a little person.
I mean, the open semicircle at the top reminds me of the mudra because I feel like on one of our retreats, but it was sort of like you're making an antenna to
Ah,
receive information. And so it's like that open semicircle is like open to receive information.
that's what you see. It's so
Yeah.
funny because I have all these stories about the symbols because when I think of an antenna, I think of the symbol for Uranus, and
Uranus,
that looks
which is
like
the
a
higher,
satellite. It looks like a
yeah.
satellite to me. Yeah.
But Uranus is the higher octave of Gemini, right? So it's like these are the rabbit ears,
Mhm.
the rabbit ear receivers, and then Uranus is the satellite
Yeah.
dish.
Cuz that has like the H looking
Yeah.
ish. So, yeah. Yeah. The symbols are so powerful. The more you use them, like listeners, if you practice using them or writing them in on your tarot cards, you can write the names or you could use the symbols, and the reinforcement of the symbols it becomes like a character in your mind, in your brain, and it gives you another element of a relationship with the energy of it. But yeah, it's funny how we see different things.
So Mercury is domiciled in Gemini and Virgo. Therefore, it is in detriment in Sagittarius and Pisces, the 180-degree oppositional signs to Gemini and Virgo. Mercury is also exalted in Virgo as well as domiciled. So then the fall is Pisces. We talked about the houses. Gemini's third house of communication, siblings, early schooling, and Virgo's sixth house of health, diet, daily routine, and service. And our elements, air and earth. Virgo is mutable. I don't think this is right for Gemini. I have mutable written down. Is that
That's
right?
right. It's mutable.
Oh, they're
It's the
both mutable?
last, yeah, it's so because of the way the seasons go, it's cardinal, fixed, mutable. And Gemini is the last in spring, and Virgo is the last in summer because Libra starts autumn and Cancer starts summer. So the mutable elements are the third in each of the seasons.
Nice.
So it's
I don't know why I doubted that for a second.
mhm.
So mutable
Because
air
it
and
feels
mutable
like it
earth.
would be different. It feels like they wouldn't. Anyway, I know why, because I double checked it too, because I was like, that's not right, Virgo's not mutable. But yeah, it is.
Day of the week, Wednesday. And some energies, a collection of words for our Mercury. This planet could convey inspiration, being flexible, spontaneous, eloquent, expressive, mentally sharp, associated with intellect and quickness, writing, communication, how we use words, very throat chakra, knowledge, perception, exactitude. I feel like that is like a very Virgoan trait, exactitude, adaptability, fast processing, being analytical. And I have a note here that Mercury rules the eyes, the brain, and the nerves or the nervous system. And some shadows, trickery, gaslighting, purposeful confusion or manipulation, being elusive, using words as weapons, using logic to avoid feeling emotions, racing thoughts or anxiety loops, or being superficial in the sense of like a jack of all trades, master of none.
I'm giggling because I relate to some of those shadows pretty strongly. Using logic to avoid feeling emotions, check. Racing thoughts, anxiety, check. Superficial jack of all trades, master of none, check, check, check. You remember when we did the card, the magician, which is
Yes.
the tarot card for Mercury, and we talked about the history of the magician, and there was a time when the magician was one of those street performers who did the sleight of hand type of tricks. It was like that manipulation, the sleight of hand, and then it got turned into the um, master of the tools of the tarot, right? The master, like the magician that we have in the Rider Waite Smith deck. And this just jumped into my mind when you were going through the energies and the shadows. And I was like, the difference between magic with a G and magic with a K, right? There's like the magic of sleight of hand and trickery, and then there's the magic of you being the master of your environment. I think that's like an element of the energy of this planet with the representation of that card.
Manipulation in the Magician podcast, but I know we talked about it before and
Mm-hmm.
how manipulation in our culture today has a certain connotation and it is negative and it kind of falls into like the emotional abuse category because that's how
Mm-hmm.
we think of it is, if somebody's manipulating somebody else, it is usually for like a self-seeking purpose,
Yeah.
or there's some kind of like
It's not
well,
altruistic. Like,
right.
what is the word when you're trying to help your friend get through a tough point in their life, and you're trying to reassure them and and take them to lunch and build up their confidence? Is that not also manipulation? But it's not like, it's sort of like there's no there, it's always negative when we think of the word manipulation. What is the positive side to that? Building somebody up, reminding them of their value, reminding them of their worth, carrying them, getting them to go somewhere, but making it ultimately their decision. That's still not a manipulation. See, I don't even want to say it's a
Mm-hmm.
manipulation because it has such a, like you said, such a negative thing to it. But also there is a way that we can influence. Is it influence? Is it, but there's a way we can use our ability to lift somebody up just as much as push somebody down. And that is the magician energy, is lifting people up, is also as manipulative. There's got to be there's a better word for that. Lifting somebody up through a hard spot, or keeping somebody steady when they're, getting unbalanced. Is that also manipulation? Keeping somebody positive when they want to be negative.
So
It's all about what side you're on, right? Like, are you the manipulator or the manipulatee? Who's the person who's being manipulated?
I mean, as we move into our section on the tarot card correspondences for Mercury, the very first one is the Magician, because that is Mercury's
Mm.
card. And my very first bullet point note about the Magician is harnessing and manipulating creative forces. And that is what the Magician is doing on the card, is harnessing and manipulating the creative forces of the four elements. And that does convey like, manipulate, like using your hands, right? There's a little bit of that in like the root word. So it is, an interesting word, because I think it does evoke a lot of like, oh, I don't want to say that. But if you have to have like a tough conversation with somebody first thing in the morning, maybe you bring them a coffee. Is that
Yeah.
manipulation? Like you're
Yeah.
softening. But that's also kind of like when we talk about the one third, one third, one third. And part of that one third is the concept of like balancing your elements and feng shui. So it's like, well, if I know I'm going to walk into the situation, can I maybe infuse it with more harmony by doing X, Y, and Z?
Mhm.
And is that manipulation? I mean,
I
kind of
know.
technically, yes,
Yeah.
but not the way I think we use that word today, because it's
I
so
know.
much more like heavy, but
I know. You remind your best friend of all of their good qualities, how qualified they are to do something, the reasons why they should do it, the reasons why they shouldn't do it, and then you hand them a pen and paper to fill out the application. Is that not manipulation? Even though it's something that is good for them or bettering them, that's still like our point of view. But anyway, it's an interesting thought on how we classify things. And that is the putting names on things and classifying things and understanding the energy as negative or positive when it's not. It's just energy. I guess it's the intention, but it's always the intention behind it.
our magician card is also about creating abundance and prosperity in the physical realm and or acting as a conduit or channel. So that's our first Mercury card. It is the Mercury card. And then we have 5 minor arcana cards ruled by Mercury. So the 8 of Wands, this is Mercury in Sagittarius. This is a detriment placement, even though the card itself feels rather positive to me. The Hermetic title is the Lord of Swiftness. When we did this podcast, we talked about the decanical interpretations of the directness of Sagittarius and Mercury in its role as the messenger, or the Jupiterian blessings of Sagittarius and the quickness of Mercury.
Mm.
The Eight of Wands conveys quickness, swiftness, and suddenness, just like Mercury itself. Incoming news, messages, developments, as well as movement and action. And then our next Mercury card, the Five of Pentacles, Mercury in Taurus, the Lord of Worry. We talked about the mercurial mind tricks that can inflame the Taurian preoccupation with comfort, aka Pentacles, and lead us into overthinking and worry.
Mm.
So, our decanical interpretation was the preoccupation of Taurus and the trickery of Mercury. The Five of Pentacles is all about the feelings of lack, scarcity, depletion, and loss, as well as worries, blockages, difficulties, misfortune, and deficits. The Ten of Pentacles, Mercury in Virgo. This is a domicile and exalted placement. This is the Lord of Wealth. We talked about the harvest energy of Virgo, kind of the end of season energy, and the planning of Mercury, and Virgo being associated with service, and Mercury being associated with sharing. This card conveys abundance, wealth, security, and legacy, as well as gratitude, generosity, fulfillment, and contentment. Six of Swords, Mercury in Aquarius, the Lord of Science, I feel like we've been talking about this card a lot lately because I've been
The
saying the
Six of
Aquarian
Swords.
firmament and Mercury as the ferryman. This card can be about magic and metaphysics and alchemy, or the idea that we're taking a passage, even a metaphorical kind of like journey is the destination type thing. The only way out is through, the obstacle is the way. And then the last card, Three of Cups, this is Mercury in Cancer. We will be talking about this card, I think, in 3 weeks, episode
Yeah,
97.
we haven't done this one yet.
Yeah. This is like your soul family. I think, Christina, I've heard you call it like your yoga retreat card.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yep. This is also my. This is in my birth chart somewhere. The Three of Cups. Oh, I can't remember where, but we'll talk about it next week. Next week we're talking about it, but I think I have the Three of Cups somewhere in my birth chart. But I love that card. I love that card. It is my yoga retreat card, my witch camp card. That's the Three of Cups.
Yeah,
Okay.
next week will be good. We're talking about how to map tarot cards to your birth chart.
Oh my gosh.
And I have made like a template, a sample table, like we have all the things to make mapping tarot cards to your birth chart easy and fun. It has changed since you saw the table that I made, Christina. I have added like 2 columns.
Nice.
Yes.
I love it.
So
it was so much fun doing that, and it has given me so much more information and connection to the cards and connection to my birth chart.
And I feel like it's a Gemini / Mercury activity. So it's like our final Gemini episode because it's like a mental, fun mind exercise. It's like expanding the way you maybe look at both tarot and your birth chart. So it's like a mind expander. So it's very Gemini, very Mercury. So we're doing it as part of this zodiacal season.
It makes sense. I have 3 cards for the message from the universe, 3 cards from the Secrets of the Witch's Garden Tarot. So listeners, 1, 2, or 3. Card 1 is the Sun, manifestation. It is high noon, the polar opposite of the moon card's inky midnight. A glowing sundial centers the card. A pair of twins, of reference to earlier sun cards in historical tarots, ride white horses. A regal pageantry fills the card. 2 birds tie a ribbon in unity. Regal sunflowers integrate the garden's solar energy and mark manifestation, growth, and expansion. The sun card, like the moon, offers a duality of as above, so below. It is a reminder that what is true for us is true for the world. We examine inner and outer natures of the self. Our happiness is reflected in others. We come into alignment with ourselves, and a new world emerges. The sun marks the ability to accept all possibility and greet all things with exuberance and openness. Witches understand the secret of the sun card. There is enough joy, love, and resources for the self and the whole world. We have more than we could ever need. The sun reminds us of light's abundance inside of us and in the world. This card appears in readings to mark pleasure, health, and manifestation. Upright, abundance, love, joy, excellent health, heart chakra, expansion, exuberance, destiny. Reversed, sadness, depression, seclusion, darkness, dour feelings, self-destructive behavior. And the question to write the reversal: what goodness can I let into my life? Card 2, the world, integration. The culmination of magical lessons, life, and love unfold as the witch becomes the world dancer. She holds a wand in each hand as enchantment radiates through the body. The scarlet feather in her hair connects her to the Fool. They are one and the same. The World card appears to signify outstanding work and smashing success. A witch's cauldron represents spell work. Tarot cards reflect divination, and the toadstool mark a fairy circle. The witch's hat, a siphon of power, rests next to a black cat, the representative of feminine feline energy. The garden wreath reflects the circular nature of a lifetime, life cycle, and the cyclical nature of the universe, along with the Fool's number 0. The world dancer has spun the wheel into existence. The world marks utter joy and completion. The witch embodies the full power and pleasure of the garden and thus herself. It is the card of restoration and perfection. It is absolute integration and delight. Magic exists in connection to the moment. The inner cadence of the soul meets the outer call of the universe. Goals are attained and accomplishments abound, but with the deeper pleasure and true gift of knowing, owning, and honoring the self. Lost in the whirling ecstasy of music, movement, and pleasure, transcendence is at hand. A bewitching dance unfolds as you step into alignment with everything planted inside your tender, beautiful, exquisite soul. Upright, flow, manifestation, travel, glory, culmination, perfection, dance, celebration, expression, completion, all desires granted and wishes met, perfect alignment. Reverse, close to the finish line, fear of having what you've always dreamed of. To write the reversal, ask, what helps me live in the moment? And the last card, or no, excuse me, not the last card. The third card is the Wheel of Fortune. Time. A glen of fractured sunlight pulls you closer to the sound of whirling water. A buzzing in the belly pulls you toward a pulsating energy source. You arrive to discover that you are not the only one drawn to this magical spot. You stand before the Wheel of Fortune. A pink lotus flower blossoms at the center of the wheel. Lotus flowers root into deep, murky mud. They rise to the surface and open their petals in sunlight each day. It echoes the human nature of moving from darkness to light. A mandala is the mapping of space. 4 spokes mark the 4 directions with alchemical symbols of earth, air, fire, and water. 4 more spokes divide the space and are engraved with the letters T-A-R-O. It arranges to make the words rota, which is Latin for wheel, and Torah, a version of the Hebrew word meaning law. The animals around the wheel mark various stages of the cycles of life. All passages are included, from decades to years, from days to minutes, from the cycles of the moon to the seasonal rhythms of nature. A wise, all-seeing owl at the summit of the wheel marks clear vision, wisdom, and stability. A snake moves down the wheel as declining energy and return to the earth. A fox moves up the wheel, marking ascent and rising of vitality. 4 corners are marked by the tetromorph of child, fairy, snoozing feline, and fawn, whose flute music casts a dreamy spell. These figures are associated with the 4 elements and 4 corners of the universe. The Wheel of Fortune's secret is fluidity. Life is flux, not fixed. Keep your inner gaze fixed to the flowering self, the lotus flower, to maintain equilibrium. It is the only way to keep steady amidst life's ebbs and flows. Upright, movement, a change in luck, going with the flow, a favorable turn of events, cycles, and universal energy. reversed, feeling stuck, off balance, and out of control, anxiety. To write the reversal, what can I focus on to bring peace? There we have it.
Thank you, universe.
Thank you, universe. You know what's really fun? We'll post pictures of these cards. There's a strong duality and Gemini element of this deck's this deck's sun card.
I like it.
Yeah, there used to be twins on the sun card in older traditions. Thank you, universe.
Add it to the trivia game.
Yes. 3 major arcana cards. I was surprised. Well, I was like, oh, the sun, the world, the wheel of fortune. Okay, universe. Our ears are perked. We're getting the messages.
Thank you, universe. And thank you, listeners. We will be back next week. Until then, we love you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode. The Radical Podcast is created and produced by Nicole and Christina.
Music by Van Horton. His Instagram is Van Horton Music. Stay in touch with us at linktr.ee/theradicalpodnc.